Hello, guys. Welcome to live show. So, I will start off. Many people today. 36. Welcome, and I will start with a question I get a lot. Mark, um, but did you take into account the Wuhan flu epidemic or pandemic? I'm calling it Wuhan flu because it's a better name. Then we know where it's coming from. Um, but like, doesn't that change the stock market or crypto? And doesn't that change your predictions? Shouldn't you lower your targets, for example, for crypto, or raise the chance that it will hit those low targets? And the same for the stocks. And the answer to that is no, because the Wuhan flu is severely exaggerated, the problems here. Like, let's say we have a virus that kills half of the people that get it, independent of age, young, middle age, children. Half of the people that get it die, and it's also very infectious. It's like the flu, it transmits very easily. Let's say we have this, and indeed, like, uh, it's like the plague in the Middle Ages. That did happen once, and okay, that's a different story. In that case, well, half the population will be wiped out, or maybe 30%. Yes, that will severely impact our economy, and for a decade. And indeed, for example, at the time when that happened in the Middle Ages, the value of gold went down a lot. Why? Because there was much less people to bid up the value of gold. Actually, there was inflation of gold. There was suddenly too much gold because 30% of the people was gone. And so the value of money went down, whereas the value of, for example, work, wages went up a lot because there were much less people to do valuable work. But that's not what's happening today. It's maybe 1% that dies from it, and it's mainly old people. Some studies say it's 0.5%. It's not 1%, it's 0.5%, because most people don't even get detected. They, like young people or middle-aged people or even old people, like 80% doesn't get severe health issues. Maybe gets a fever or a cough, and they don't even know they have the coronavirus because it looks like a flu. And so, but it's true that it's like 10-15% of old people or people in a risk factors that already have health issues, like 15% can die of age 80. Of course, for them that's really bad, but for the average person it's not. Your chance to die is 1%, is the same as driving in your car. You also have a chance to die 1%, how much, every 10 years or so. So it is a panic that we are seeing that is severely exaggerated, as it is always when you have severe market corrections. Like, there are some exceptions, but usually when there are severe market corrections, the panic is severely exaggerated and the valuations are going way too low for the value that you're buying. There is serious undervaluation, and you have to be able to see that so that you find the courage to buy. And so, for example, the things we invest in here is not Ford or GM. Of course, for companies like that, they are already weak companies. Yes, a crisis like this may accelerate their how do you call it? Them going broke. That may go quicker, or cruise companies that were already weak while they are now going broke. But a cruise company that did a great job before this crisis, well, you can buy them for pennies on the dollar right now. They will not go broke due to this crisis if they had a good balance sheet, if they run a great business, and they will continue to do very well after this flies over. So and when it comes to Tesla or crypto, yes, Tesla will sell maybe a lot less cars over the next past month and the next month, but that's not lost sales. People will buy that Tesla car later, and so what's lost now will come back later. And for a company like Tesla, it's actually a good thing that has something like this happens, because their competitors like GM and Ford, who actually still have 99% of, let's say, 90% of the market, well, they are likely, some of them are likely to go broke, which means that suddenly people can't buy cars from them anymore. So suddenly they are pushed towards Tesla, whereas before it was like, maybe Tesla, oh no, let's take the cheaper Ford or the cheaper GM or the cheaper Volkswagen. Even though it's not such a good buy, it is a lot cheaper. But when these companies go broke, it's like, the amount of offerings there is just less, and they are more like forced into the direction of Tesla. And at the same time, company like Tesla will do a lot thanks to that, more turnover, allowing them to sell their cars even cheaper. So crisis for many companies and many currencies is a good thing, if they have strong foundations. So voila, I think that's very important. Let me take a look at the questions. And also another very important argument, of course, is that it's proven that the exponential growth of this virus can be stopped. China showed it, Singapore, Taiwan, countries where it broke out, and that took measures, smart measures, some smart, others bad. But Singapore, for example, is a great example, that a country that took smart measures, not closing down businesses forcefully, all businesses, like they start to do in the US. That's ridiculous, of course. But really tracing down people that have the virus and forcing them to quarantine, and really finding out all the contacts that they had before, and testing all those people, and if they found anyone else, quarantining them too. That's how you tackle this. And but okay, even if you fuck up badly, people, as a government, as they did in China, people will by themselves self quarantine. When the government fucks up badly and it spreads like a virus, then people themselves will respond by really being much more careful, start to self-isolate, change their ways, wearing masks, sanitize their hands, and that way also the growth has proven to stop the exponential growth. That's already the case. We can see that in several countries, that it's actually totally collapsed, the amount of new infected people. So the same will happen in the West. Now it's a total panic, but that's actually good, because that's actually needed for people to change their ways, and that means that the source is already here, the foundation is already laid in the West for the exponential growth to stop, and already within a couple of weeks. That's why I think this opportunity in the market will be short-lived, because in a couple of weeks already we will see that the exponential growth stops. And likely the market, the stock market and cryptocurrency market, will respond to that, possibly beforehand, and already bounce strong. But I think the biggest factor here is emotions. Really, I can tell. Look at the comments on my video. I make a video, crypto like a screaming buy, and I give all kind of arguments, like charts, historical data that shows that it is historically cheap, and still people totally ignore that and say, yes, but It will go lower, likely. Yes, but the Wuhan flu will get much worse. Like it's just ignored, and people are afraid it will go lower. It's that fear it will go lower, or that I think naive opportunism to think that you will be able to buy lower as the prices of today, that makes one to miss out a great opportunity. That's really what you need to fight today. And if I look at the kind of correction we're seeing here, yeah, it's very similar to the 1987. And on Twitter, I post a picture there. A very strong correction, but also very quickly it will bounce out of it. Is what I believe we will most likely see. Um, so let me take a look at the questions. Feel free to ask what you like. But indeed, like making money is difficult in the markets. As a passive investor, allocating capital is difficult. Why? Because you see it. How do you feel buying at current prices? Do you like to do this? Do you feel happy? Yeah, well, I feel happy shortly when I yesterday was able to buy Tesla at 400, and then it sinks through it lower, and then I'm like, oh my god, what to do next? Shall I buy more when it goes to 300? Oh my god, and what if I'm like wiped out? Like the fear is there also for me. So you have to always go back to the historical charts and look at the opportunity that's there in front of you. But of course, for most people, this will be a learning lesson. Like you can let yourself be dragged into the panic of the people, or into the greed of the people when things are all very high, and then it's the inverse. Then it's like, yeah, okay, it's high, it's highly valued, but it will likely go higher. It's very easy to go with the flow that requires no energy. It's very easy right now to go to cash, to play it safe, to not invest. It's the easiest solution here. Just go to cash. What can you lose? Nothing. Yeah, I mean, there's panic everywhere. Well, just play it safe. Don't invest. That's easy. But that's how you will not make money. How you will fail as an investor. And it's the same the other way around. When markets are booming, and also in crypto, you see today, all people start talking about lower price. The bottom will break, 3,000 will break. Everybody starts to talk about that. Yes, that's likely now. It's likely we go to 3,000 or to 2,000 or 2,000. Like, that's ridiculous. The same people that at 8,000 were saying it's gonna go higher, now at 5,000 say it's gonna go lower. It's so typical, and it's really a great way to fail as an investor, to follow this kind of terrible advice or to think that way yourself. It's really very bad. But indeed, when there's a strong bull market, it's also the easiest. Like when everybody is bullish, everybody's buying, it's very easy to buy too. It's a safe thing. It went up so much. Everybody is positive. You buy too. You feel good. It's easy. But that's how you lose your money. You shouldn't do that. When everybody is bullish, you should be like bearish. You should fight that. You should look at like how terrible of a risk reward it is right now. But right now, the risk reward for Tesla is amazing. At $400, it's just below 400 right now. It's amazing. This is a price that was there for 5 years. In the meantime, Tesla has tenfolded in revenues easily. It's clearly a winner, and you buy it very cheaply right now. It's a risk, but the risk reward is amazing. The same for Bitcoin Cash. I bought tons of that because $180, $170. It's amazing. You can't expect to buy it at $80. Can it get there? Yes, it could get there. But that's always like that. When the market goes down a lot, as the wise investor, you have to say, of course it can go lower. That's not the question here. The question is, if I don't buy and it goes back up, how will I feel? Will I be able to buy when it goes up? When it goes from $180 Bitcoin Cash to $300 in a couple of days? Will you buy then at $300? Will that feel better? No, it won't feel better. Will it feel bad when it goes from $180 to $100? Yes, but you have to focus not on the losses here, and that's very difficult. You have to focus on how much coins can you acquire. If you are a bull, a crypto bull, then you have to be greedy for getting those coins. cheaply and stash them. That's what you need to focus on. Okay, your portfolio is piling up losses. That's true. But you need to acquire those coins. That should give you a good feeling. That gives me a very good feeling, the amount of Bitcoin Cash I was able to buy. I think that's awesome. And the losses be damned. Huh? Uh, 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 and it's the other way around, also very difficult. When markets are booming, you always look at your profits, huh? But that's the wrong thing to do. Eh? Like, oh, you feel rich, wow, it's amazing. But you stay invested and you start counting, oh, I really would like to have more shares or more coins, and then I would be even better off. But that's totally the wrong focus in a bull market. When things are euphoric, when everybody's positive, you should be focusing on stashing cash, not glorifying your shares or coins, but glorifying the cash, the thing that is considered trash in a bull market. Huh? Nobody wants cash. It's a terrible investment. You missed out terribly if you were in cash the past few years when the bull market is euphoric. But that's actually what you should focus on, stashing cash then. Huh? But the inverse is true today. Huh? Yes, cash was a great investment the past month. Everybody regrets not having more cash. Huh? But that's not the thing to do right now. Huh? Now it's so... Sorry, this is dropping. Let me go inside. So the cash is most of the time a terrible investment. It really sucks to have cash in your portfolio most of the time. You lose 5% per year, and markets for the most time go up. So if you have to get rid of your cash right now, like it's really the time to do so. And then I also said it at the end of my previous video, that crypto is a screaming buy, but you have to really look at, and people miss that, and I have to repeat it all the time, at the long-term trend of the stock market. I can't repeat this right now. You should just look at the end of the video, but it's super important. The foundation of an economy is the commodity cycle. You have to understand that. You have to understand that the stock bull market does not take 10 years. It takes 20 to 30 years. And it actually takes 30 years after you had the Great Depression, as we saw in 2008. From 2000 till 2009-10 was a bear market, but also a great recession at the end, which only happens every 100 years. That means that's a complete wipeout of the system. As we saw, all banks went broke. Many small investors went broke due to mortgages and all that. And so many businesses were wiped out in 2008. So that really cleans the system. And that causes, and also commodity prices went very high there. And a lot of new commodity production was launched between 2000 and 2010 in all sectors, and not just energy. Oil went to above $100, but also in agriculture, commodity price went up a lot, and so all that extra supply has come online after 2010. And that's why commodity prices since then have been going down. But it will take another 10 to 20 years that commodity prices will continue to go down. And that's the foundation of a good economy. As well as, of course, are people over leveraged or not? Do people have lots of debts? That's not the case. Like most people that took high risks have been wiped out in 2008. And people have become more modest and have continued to be skeptical of the stock market, the bull market that started in 2009-10. People continue to be skeptical. Most people are not heavily invested in stocks yet. That's only in like 5 to 10 years from here that the masses will actually join the stock market en masse, as they did in 1999 at the end of that 20-year cycle. At the end, after it went up a lot, only then the masses joined, and then the collapse came. We are not there at all. So that's very important to understand, because that's why this crash should not be compared with the 2008 crash. No, we are in a totally different economic climate. Also not with the 2000.com crash, should not be compared. It should be compared with 1987, because that's where the stock market has started. It was going up for 8 years or so, 7 years, the start of the bull market. That's this kind of crash should be compared to. Huh? Um, so let me finally take a look at the questions. I'm gonna read them silently. Only the interesting stuff I will read out. So yeah, nothing changes to the crypto trend line. Like past cycles are intact. We can clearly see cycles take longer and longer. The cycles in crypto, and if you extrapolate that, most likely, but not certain, but most likely, the top will be in 2023 for crypto, and that comes closer and closer. We are 2020. Life goes fast. It's in 3 years from here that we will go to 2.5 trillion, and most people thought that was like ridiculously low only a month ago. But right now it starts to become really like very nicely high. When we're at 150 billion, 2.5 trillion is now it's become more than a 10x, almost a 20x. We will peak out on average. But many coins like Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash, from current valuations, Ethereum $5,000, I think, Bitcoin Cash $10,000 will peak out, and that these are modest estimations, that we do have to keep it modest, like that they don't gain market share, but they also don't lose it, which is rare, but possible when as Bitcoin Core is fucking up so badly and losing market share. I think that may cause Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash to actually keep their market share. And in that case, they will go so high. That means that like a 50x for Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash, or like 30x one and 60x the other one. These are amazing investments, much better than Tesla, for example. You can't expect from Tesla to do a 30x. I think from the current 400, it can peak out 1,500, maybe 2,000, maybe, but it will stay there for 5 years. But that's a 5x. That's not a 50x. Huh? Bitcoin Cash has the potential of a 50x in 3 years. Huh? However, Tesla, I think, will reach that in 1 year, the 5x. Huh? Whereas for Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, all cryptos, it will be a slow rebuild. Huh? But the stock market was really booming. And was not in the early phase of a bull market. The bull market has been going on now for 10 years. It's actually going in its second gear of a bull market, which means that valuations will start to go up faster. When it comes to crypto, we are in the early phase of the bull market. But after this shakeout, I think, we're still in the early phases, of course. But it's as quickly it goes down, as quickly it can go up. Also, you have to be careful for that. Do you think a strong recovery is possible in 18 months, or will be slow? Yeah, everybody talking negative now. Oh, recession, depression. Look at Singapore. Wow. Huh? Yes, they had a serious problem. They were also panicked for a short while, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, about the Wuhan flu. But they contained it, and life is just back to normal there. Yes, many more people wear masks. There are much more serious sanitizing going on when you enter, exit buildings and all that. But life goes on. Like, it's not like in the West now that starts to look like China, where there is complete mismanagement by the governments who think they are wise to shut down everything, but not do any specific work. Actually, it's easy to shut down everything with an order, but that doesn't require much work, of course. The work, they should look at Singapore, how Singapore did that. They did a much better job. But incompetence of governments cannot stop a stock bull market. It will create, of course, more suffering, more economic suffering, and more deaths. But the stock bull market is driven by cheap commodity prices, and that doesn't change here. So I think it will depend from country to country how quickly they recover based on how badly they are mismanaged. But for cryptos, that's all irrelevant, what governments do. Thank you so much, Johan Morse, for the compliment. Jimmy Gare says that he started buying after watching my last video and is putting his emotions aside. Crypto is here to stay. That's the right attitude, Jimmy. Congrats and good luck with that. And if you don't even use margin, you can just buy. And yeah, if it goes much deeper, okay, sucks. Short term, you lose 50% of the value of your portfolio, but it's not that bad. Like you can still eat and live, and you're gonna have to wait it out. That's the worst case. It's not so bad. Please talk English, guys. Like I want this YouTube channel to be everybody to understand it. I'm looking at the questions. I don't think capitalism is that, guys, please. So the probability I have for Bitcoin to break the bottom and go below 3,000 to 2,000, I have only at 33% as before. It's still the same. And I didn't lower or raise that probability now to 50% or 60% because of the Wuhan flu. No, that would be totally wrong. That's typical. The lower you go and the more fearful the market becomes. Also, the higher you want to estimate the chance that it goes lower, but that's really wrong. It's also not true. The lower you go, the lower the chance I will go even lower. Because the underlying value for crypto, for example, is adoption, is the amount of people that use it. And then, like, the more people that use it, the higher the value is, because every user brings on average about 10,000 US dollars in value that they put into the system, that the system goes up in value. You can see that with fiat currencies. The value of the euro or the US dollar is about $5,000 to $10,000 per person in that economy, because that's the amount of cash that we on average hold. Many people it's only 1,000, and then you have some rich people that have the 100,000 or a million in cash, but on average about $10,000 that people hold in cash. It's not much actually. But so the more people that use a certain cash system, the higher the value goes. But does it go like that? Like per person we add 10,000? No, it goes in booms and bust cycles for currencies also, just like the stock market. And so if it goes down now, is that because like we have less users in cryptocurrency or less investors? Sure, there are some people dropping off now because they're disappointed they didn't make money. But you have also some other people joining now because they finally see a good entry. But on average, what you do see during booms in cryptocurrency and also in the stock market, the amount of users goes up a lot faster than during busts and during bears. Then, of course, a lot of users drop off and a lot of investors. But you have to look at the average increase. Like, let's say it goes 100x in amount of users, and then in the bear, 90% drops off. Well, that's still a 10x in amount of users. Huh? And so every boom bust cycle, you have a 10x in amount of users after everything is said and done. And so that's the underlying value of crypto. And the Wuhan flu does not change anything to that fact. So if we look at yeah, at that's where all my price predictions come from. The logarithmic trend line is just the past growth. The past growth of the average prices is basically also the past growth in adoption and in amount of value that's added to the system, and it's evened out. Boom busts or reduced or flattened out in a straight line, and you see the average growth rate. And that's a great way to, you can do that with Tesla too, with the stock market too. The stock market, the underlying value is that, well, it grows on average about, what is it, 9% per year. But you have 5% inflation, so it's actually only 4% or 3% per year. But you have booms and busts. So it's like during the bust, it's actually 10 years, 0%. And then during the boom, it's not on average 9%, it's like 15% on average. Huh? So I have like 10 years, 0%, 20 to 30 years, 15%. That's the cycle we are in. So if you suddenly like lose like 30% or so, well, that doesn't change to anything to the stock market going up by average in this cycle on about 15% per year. And we're not there at all. Huh? We are only about, because that picks up actually, the speed picks up, the highest returns at the end of the cycle, also in the stock market, just like in the crypto market. Huh? And inversely, in a bear market, the biggest losses are made, well, that depends actually, but usually at the end it's the last time that you have the biggest loss. But it's inversely with the stock bull market. So yeah, average returns right now about 9% for the stock market, but due to this bust is maybe down the past 10 years to only like 8% or 7%. But actually where we are in the cycle of stocks is that average returns should be around 12%. And so like very likely the stock market will do tremendously well, even maybe in this year or next year, to catch up the losses that were just made. Because the stock market valuations are based on the health of the economy. How do companies do? Do they make money or not? And that's all very positive. Companies make, on average, very good money. Yes, now temporarily, some companies make a lot less, other companies make a lot more due to the Wuhan flu, but this will all flow over very quickly. And so valuation will just go back up a lot. Starting on the next show, I will just mute everybody that speaks Dutch. I appreciate it, but it's really not, for me, it's not what I want on this channel. I don't want people to speak Dutch. I don't want people to speak Russian or Danish or French. I want people to speak English so that everybody can understand it. So everybody that speaks Dutch in the future will just be muted out. Oh, that means you can't speak anymore on these shows, huh? It's great to hear that somebody came here thanks to Kevin Svensson. I'm very happy that he he called my name out of having called the cycles very well. Thank you, Kevin Svensson. If he sees it, that's really great. Um, Mirko asks, what do you think of low cap coins as a strategy to increase the amount of bitcoins that you hold? Will this have the same gains as previous years? I think no. Like that's really in the cryptocurrency world, many are altcoin traders. They don't value altcoins. They call it altcoins. It's already a pejorative name, and they are not even aware that they are insulting their own investments. But they also don't value their investments, and they don't respect their investments. And it's just trading to make more Bitcoin because that's the only thing they value. While they will get a rude awakening after stashing all their Bitcoin that they realize at the end of next cycle or at this cycle of at the end of the bull market that you should have just hold um, uh, their other cryptos, I call them, they're all cryptos, instead of exchanging them all for Bitcoin Core, because well, many cryptos will gain a lot more than Bitcoin Core in this bull market. Actually, the best time for Bitcoin Core is past us. The peak was 70% market share a couple months back. It's been going down and will continue to go down. And this correction should be eye-opening for anyone because it's the first time that we have a severe correction where Bitcoin Core corrects as much as the top 10, top 50 coins. Like normally the smaller coins correct more. It did not happen here. What does that mean? It means that the market's changed. People don't value the smaller coins as much today as Bitcoin Core. They are not willing to dump their smaller coins more than the bigger coin Bitcoin Core. They are not willing. And also the buyers are not willing to buy more Bitcoin Core than Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash. It's actually not. They are even going up versus Bitcoin Core during this crash. So this likely it's just the start, yeah, of the trend. Take a look at the questions. Yeah, people ask me questions like Mark Heinrich Voss with regards to stocks. If currencies crash due to the breakdown of the current financial system, wouldn't that affect stocks and making your argument of a bull market invalid? No, like the financial system is not weakening due to this crisis. The financial system today still are banks connected to each other, and yeah, they can go broke if they make lots of losses in their portfolio. But banks are invested in mortgages for the most part. Are people gonna stop paying off their mortgage now? No, they keep on paying off their mortgage. And in case the bank goes broke, it gets bailed out by the government. The government just print money to bail out banks. Like it can't even go broke. In 2008, yes, many smaller banks in the US went broke, but for the most part, most banks got bailed out. But stockholders did lose all their money. But the banks themselves and the deposit holders got all bailed out by money that's being printed. And during crisis, usually that goes like that today also. But that doesn't cause hyperinflation or deflationary depression. No, it's just that on average the government or the Federal Reserve or central banks print about 8% per year, and during crisis like today they print more. Maybe they're gonna print this year 20%, but then the next year they print nothing. Like the past 3-4 years, the Federal Reserve didn't print anything actually. They had zero, even negative. They took out money in circulation the past 4 years. So but on average, they print about 8% that goes into the pockets of the government, and that causes about 5 to 6% inflation. That's how it works. And does that create hyperinflation? Nope. Does it create a deflation? Certainly not. Can we have a deflationary depression? No, we cannot, because there is no hard currency. If there is a hard currency, if people would use, for example, cryptocurrency and only cryptocurrency, you can have a real deflationary depression where people go to the currency, nobody can print more of it to bail out anyone. And in that case, you can see the value of the currency go up a lot of defaults, and suddenly you can buy a lot more with your currency, as at the time with the gold standard, though it was never really a gold standard, there was always some printing there also, but it was a harder currency, and that created for a harder deflation, for example, in 1930s. But that's not the system we have anymore today, and even then they printed a lot. But you had a harder currency. The value of the US dollar at the time did not go down so quickly. It went down slower in value because they printed a bit less. But yeah, this is not the time to focus on all the bad scenarios that can happen. Now is the time to focus on all the good that will likely happen, much more likely to happen than all the bad. All the good, for example, Tesla. Tesla is selling, just launched an amazing, beautiful car. It's the Model 3, but then high version, SUV version, same price. Amazing, beautiful car, will sell like hot dogs. They started delivery already very silently. People are silently ordering, lots of them online. And their problem is now to be able to produce all their orders, because the American government thinks it's a great idea to forcefully shut down the factory there. That's why the shares are collapsing even more today. But that's a buying opportunity. Like, let's say you have a great business, you're making tons of money, and the government forbids you to open your business now and maybe for a month or so, and due to that the value of your stocks goes down. But is your business, will you have less business? No, because all these customers want your product. If they can't buy it this month, they'll buy it next month. Like, it's not even lost sales. And if you can't produce it now, you'll produce double as much later. Like, that doesn't run away. I'm looking at the questions. But yeah, I think really the most important thing, people, is today to learn to buy. This is a very rare opportunity. If you look at the amount of in fund managers, for example, also usually do absolutely the wrong thing. The biggest withdrawals in like the past 20-30 years that fund managers have done has been the past month. Like, this is a very, very good indicator that valuations of stocks are likely very low right now, because these people have been selling like nutcases, going to cash, and that's usually a really great time to get in. But it's just one indicator. I'm not really focused on the stock market, but I've shown for crypto many indicators that clearly show it's historically cheap. Like, it's as cheap today as it was when you were in 2015. After it bottomed from $1,150, it went down to $150. Then it was around $250 for a whole year. And at the end of the year, it had gone up to $300, $350, and then it collapses again to $200. Right below 200 it went, 179 or something. Wow, that's where we are today. Exactly the same undervaluation of 60%. There it was 60% undervaluation compared to the trend line. Today, again, it's 60% undervaluation. And it's exactly the same scenario today. Yeah, it's a year ago now, more than a year ago, that the market crashed from 20,000 US dollars to 3,000 US dollars for Bitcoin Core, from 850 billion to 100 billion, cut by more than almost 10, the whole cryptocurrency market is a year ago. Huh? Then it bounces up 2 times and it crashes again now, testing the bottom. But not breaking the bottom, testing it. Huh? 15% higher is exactly the scenario that I thought was likely to happen before the bull market continues its growth path. Huh? That just happened. Huh? And if the valuations are still there, yeah, it's not 3,800. You can't expect to pick the bottom, but it's 5,000. And actually, that's Bitcoin Core. Let's talk about Ethereum. $110 right now. Huh? It was $80 the bottom. It goes to $300. It's back at $100. You can buy it now at $110. An amazing buy. But I think Bitcoin Cash is even better because, yeah, it looks like, oh, it's not so cheap. It did not go to even below 100. It did not go $80. But when that crash happened from $4,000 to $80, while there was also a split of the community, half of the community went around $200 to $300 went to BSV. And so only half of the community, or maybe 60% or so, or 70, stayed with Bitcoin Cash. And that's why it actually went considerably lower than it should have. It should have bottomed around 200. It didn't. It bottomed around $80. Or it should have bottomed maybe 150 or so, but it didn't. It went to 80 because of that. But that's gone now. That's a year ago. The Bitcoin Cash community had much other drama actually, and that's why I think it's still going so low. Many people have been selling Bitcoin Cash. It went to $500 2 times, from $80 to $500, back to, what was it, $180, then back to $500, and now it's back to $180. So you see a lot of strength actually in the price. It's not able, like the moment Bitcoin dropped through 5,000 to 3,800, Ethereum dropped, Bitcoin Cash dropped a lot less. Also because I've been buying, but I'm not the only one. Others been buying too. Like people see the opportunity, people buy with their fiat, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and other coins, and they don't go to Bitcoin Core. They don't flee to Bitcoin Core anymore. So yeah, amazing opportunity here, and it doesn't happen a lot. Like it's 5 years ago, 2015, 5 years ago, that you have an opportunity like this in crypto. Because yes, okay, 1 year ago it was a better opportunity to buy the bottom there, but yeah, that was really like I also failed there. Like it's, and also now it's really not so easy. But actually, from a time perspective, the past year there were many other opportunities, like Tesla, for example. Like you don't have to buy the cheapest price if you can buy at maximum undervaluation right before the bull market goes into its second gear. Is as good a buy. Actually, it's a better buy. Even like we went to about 40% undervaluation, maybe 45, 50 maximum. When we hit the fiat bottom, but right now we're at 60%, and actually we went to 70% undervaluation when we hit $3,800, when we hit 115 billion. Today, 150 billion is 70% undervaluation compared to the trend line, whereas 100 billion a year ago was only 50% undervaluation to the trend line. So you can see that we get more and more undervaluation compared to fair value. And indeed, the fair value continues to go up because yeah, projects like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash continue to grow, despite the drama, despite all the failures. These currencies continue to expand and grow, and the fair value continues to go up over time. So yeah, amazing opportunities and very rare to have those. So you do have to buy that. That's how you make money in the markets. And you have to really learn to ignore all the panic around you and all the dooms thinking, and look at the rational arguments behind it. Don't extrapolate into infinity when you are in a bull market, don't do that to the upside. But also when you're in a bear market or a panic, don't do that to the downside. That's really how you kill your performance. Also, I want to thank all the compliments I got, guys. Wow. And also, first time my channel is rare that I'm growing in followers on Twitter and on the YouTube channel. I went about 1,000 or 2,000 more subscribers on YouTube the past week, 2 weeks. So thank you for everybody that's been putting out the word that I've been calling this market correctly. Please do so more to people that you think can get value from my work. Let them know personally or share some of my tweets or some of my videos. I really appreciate it. Click the like button here. That also makes my videos more viewed. But thank you so for all the compliments I got on the videos and on Twitter. I really appreciate it. Feeling like a winner, and also yeah, feels really good. And thank you so much. Also, people, you have to ignore trolls and people that are pessimistic and people that are doubtful and people with low confidence. You have to really ignore them. Don't even address them. Huh? Like, just skip it aside. Huh? You want to have a great performance. It's very difficult to be optimistic when the world is negative and pessimistic. It is also very difficult to see the negative when everybody is super positive. You have to really, but if you want to have outsized returns, you have to think for yourself, but also you have to really like ignore these people and don't let them influence you because they are trying. Some of these truly have bad intentions and they can see that you're a smart person, they can see you're doing a great job and they don't like it, and they will try to sabotage you. And as parents can do that, family can do that, best friends can do that, love partners can do that, the people that are closest to you can do that, and you should really not let that happen because that can like take decades to overcome, and all that time, as long as you let them influence you, you will pay the price. So don't do that. It's the most difficult thing. This is also not uncharted territory, guys. Like, you can just analyze what happened in 1918. There was actually a much bigger pandemic than what we have today. It was the Spanish flu, not the Wuhan flu, but the Spanish flu. And the Spanish flu did kill 1% of the population, of the global population. Um, and um, but look at the effects on the stock market. It wasn't that much. Huh? Um, so it's not uncharted territory here. What is uncharted, of course, for me too, is to see the world panic so much. But it was also in 2008 in the financial crisis. There was a similar panic. But it's a little bit different. Then it was like all the banks going broke, and also international trade coming to a standstill. Then that was a shocker for me too. 80% collapse of international trade in 2008. So it was also panic, and in 2001 also a panic. Together with the dot-com bust, you had suddenly like the Twin Towers, like America being attacked, like it's a Hollywood movie. Today also, like a Hollywood movie. You only see that on TV, and suddenly it happens in your life. Everything goes crazy. Everybody goes crazy. But those are rare events. Only every 10 years that will happen one time to you. And there's one thing you should do then. Think for yourself. Don't let that opportunity pass by. As an investor, you're one of the few people and entrepreneurs also, that actually can really profit from a situation like this. If you're just having jobs, there's only suffering for you. But if you're an investor, if you allocate capital, there's great opportunity for you, huh? If you take it. Huh? Yeah, cryptomedius, you are panicking way too much, my friend. You really have to change that. So Cryptomedius is asking, what do you think will happen in short to medium term if US, for example, will close most businesses for 3 months? How is this going to affect stock market? I've read Tesla will need to close their factory for 3 months. What do you think will happen to the price? When people lose their jobs due to business going broke or cutting expenses, how will that affect the market? The question itself shows the fear. And people with strong emotions, they ask questions, but they're not really asking questions because they are in their fear. So they're just afraid of all these things, and their emotion is guiding their body and their thinking and their actions. And it's the same in a bull market. When crypto has gone up a lot, what do people say and think? Yeah, but it will go up a lot higher because look at all the adoption, look at all the people coming, look at all the good news. Like, how can this stop? Like, why would this stop? Like, people can't imagine that it's all in cycles. And it's the same here. It will stop because it cannot go on, because valuations, as it goes up more and more, valuations go up a lot faster than actual real adoption. So there is coming an end. Okay, it's always higher than you think. People are always more crazy than you can imagine. And so that may happen here too, that it will go much lower than I think and that other people that are buying think. But does that mean that you should not be buying right now? No. No. You should be buying. And the same, when it goes up a lot and everybody is bullish, because that we can agree, right? Everybody is bearish right now. Can you agree with that in crypto and in the stock market? That everybody is bearish, or that 90% of the market is actually not bearish, is panicked, afraid of total collapse. Can we agree on that? Because if we can agree on that, yes, it's time to buy. Valuations are not important. If that's the fact, you buy. If you feel fearful to buy, you feel fearful, buy, because that's the best indicator you're doing something right. If you feel fearful, you should be buying. You're doing the right thing. You buy when you're afraid market will continue to collapse, will go even lower. That's a good time to buy. So it's no point answering these questions, Cryptomedius, because you're not being rational. I can answer them, and then next thing you will do is ignore my answers and go back in your fear and not buy. But I will answer them. The world, money makes the world go round, and that's true in China, and it's true in America, and it's true in Europe, and it's true in Africa, it's true everywhere. Money makes the world go round. So that means that politicians sometimes do stupid stuff, but they will change their mind for money. So if they do stupid stuff in America, closing down businesses, causing a lot of financial harm, well, the money will flow to them to change their mind. And that's how it works everywhere in the world. It's a government that does not listen to money is the biggest problem. Those are totalitarian governments that cause a lot of harm, and we used to have them much more in the past than today. Like the Chinese government, the Russian government, the communists at the time did not respect money as much, and therefore they did all kind of policies that were truly harmful, causing, and socialist governments also like causing absolute like a lot of destruction to the economy and famine and that. Huh? But today governments become wiser over time because people become wiser over time because children are raised better over time, less abusive, and it's because they are raised less abusive over time, get beaten less, get raped less. They can think better, and they do less harmful things when they become adults and when they run countries and run businesses. They do less stupid stuff. And so over time, governments become wiser. And so even the Chinese government has changed their tune a lot in the 80s and has started to respect money a lot more. And for example, today you see that the Chinese government is actually doing better than the American government. For example, with Tesla, you can see that clearly they really work hard on keeping Tesla factory open and see it produce, whereas the US government, not so much. So, but overall, these kind of things you don't have to worry too much about because the Wuhan flu is not a it's not like the what was it in the Middle Ages? I said in the beginning of the show, it's not the plague. Not half 50% of the people that catch it die. If that would happen, of course, yeah, the damage might be a lot bigger to the economy, but that's not it. But rewatch the show to have my explanation about that. Yeah, stashing. Okay. Hedera Hashgraph is on my radar. I know it's an interesting project like Obyte. It uses DAG, but yeah, I've never invested in smaller coins the past few years, so I haven't done more research on it. But yeah, I can see it. It is performing very well, just like Tezos also. Some of these coins are doing a great job of performing very well. But yeah, I'm keeping it simple, only investing in Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum right now. But maybe in the future, if these pump, I might diversify in some of these projects. Yeah, you really have to be careful who you follow. There's actually really scammers, many scammers in the investment world. They actually know that they talk shit. Like for example, Peter Brandt. He looks like an old wise guy, but actually he's blocking people that criticize his calls like I did. Like I just look at his history, some bad calls. I copy paste them and I call him out on it. Just blocked it. Like his viewers cannot see that. So that's really very cowardly behavior, and he's protecting a reputation that he has not really have. Like he is not a good trader. He does not make great market calls, but yet he's very famous in the crypto world. You see that plenty too. Many crypto evangelists and traders and YouTubers and Twitters, they have no good track record at all. And so you should really be very selective in who you follow. And really look back at the track record. And this requires a lot of extra work. It's not just, oh, this guy is fun, let's follow this guy. No, it's like, okay, this looks interesting. Let's see what the calls were in the past. And let's look at the bottoms and the tops. That's what I do. Let's look at the bottom when crypto was very low. Were they bullish or bearish? Or at the top, were they bullish or bearish? And it's easier. There's like 95% you can just like not follow because they were just wrong. And it will be the same today. The same. Most people are now bearish on crypto. They don't think it will go up. They think it will go down. It will go from 5,000 to 3,000. Most people think that right now. Yeah, we're going to go test the bottom at 3,000. And some think we will go lower to 2,000, 1,000. That's what people are talking about now, right? So this is also a great indicator that likely the bottom is in. Thank you so much for the compliments, Alexandru Hanaya. Manuel says that, what do you mean the Federal Reserve only printing 20%? They just print 2 trillion. How is that 20%? Well, currently I think it's about 6 trillion in circulation. I don't think that's correct that they printed 2 trillion. I think that's false. I think it's much less. But even if it would be, well, that's 30%, okay? They did the same, much more. They printed 100% in the 2008 financial crisis. In 2008, 9, and 10, in total, they print about 100% or 150% more in circulation. Yet the average amount of money they print is still only 8%. Huh? I have the sheet for you on my 100-year returns and also amount of money printed. Those are the numbers. So you see that always pop up. People are just wrong in these numbers. Cryptomedius asks, why have you changed your mind in going all in when you said before you should work in steps? And yes, I agree that I do make the mistake of being too greedy here, and that may cost me. I did go very fast from like all cash to fully invested in only a week's time, and now I'm even having leverage. I have a 10% margin loan, so I'm not fully invested. I'm even more invested than fully. I have also a 10% margin loan. And that's all done in a week's time. It's true. I was very fast and greedy, but that just means that yes, if it goes deeper, I will have to go through some pain. But yeah, I think we'll have to see. I'm afraid of missing out. I have FOMO of missing out. So I think actually we will see if that pays off or not. I could indeed be too soon, but yeah, I'm researching where else I can borrow money. Like, yeah, that will allow me to invest more if prices go down more, but borrow money in a safe way. Yeah, like that's my investment style here, and we will see if that pays off. I think that's a fair critique, Cryptomedius, that you have. But why is because for me all indicators are flashing really buy, and being 100% invested actually on average is what you should do. You should be 100% invested in the markets and not invested in cash or in bonds, because those are certificates of confiscation. So it's very rare actually that you should not be fully invested in the market. But sometimes it is when the markets are really extremely bullish, or there is a meteorite or a pandemic going your way very clearly, like a month ago when the market is not pricing it in at all. Okay, those are like rare events where you can like go to cash, or have a big position of cash, or have build up some cash. But those are rare events. So right now, we're not in that scenario. We're not in a scenario where everybody is bullish, markets have been going up a lot, or there is a meteorite or a pandemic heading our way and it's not priced in. No, everybody in the world knows about the pandemic now. Everybody. It's not a secret. And it's also priced in because the markets have been correcting a lot. So now is the time to be fully invested. You should now be fully invested. Huh? And if it goes even worse, well, research margin loans, like that's an amazing deal. People are willing to lend you 5% at an interest rate of 5%. That's the same as real inflation. So you basically get a loan for free. Huh? And you can invest it when the markets are totally freaked out, panicked, blood in the street everywhere. Oh yeah, take a loan, or take it from the three Fs: family, friends, and fools, who all are in cash. Then tell them, hey, I'll give you 10% interest. What do you think? Don't tell them in what you're gonna invest, or they'll never give you their money. But tell them you give them 10% interest. You will be able to pay that easily. Huh? That's what you do. Huh? That's investing wisely. Huh? So that's why I'm fully invested right now, because clearly, like, yeah, you should be fully invested for the most part, especially now. Huh? Um, Taking a look at the comments. Yeah, so about Bitcoin Cash, I did invest a lot in Bitcoin Cash. I have now the largest exposure is to Bitcoin Cash from all my investments. It's 40% or so, 45%, almost half my portfolio. Yeah, so we had a big crisis there. Amoris Sechet and the ABC team tried to hijack the project and failed. Huh? Of course, the jury is not out yet because it still has to happen the 15th of May. There will be, it will be implemented, and it might then happen that it forks into two projects. But I think it's clear from the community reaction now that even if it forks into two projects, the Amoris Sechet version will, or the ABC version will have much less support, and basically even the Bitcoin Cash name will likely be successfully kept by the no tax version of Bitcoin Cash. So this is all very likely. Therefore, but what I really like to see, and I think is unique in crypto, is that actually the leadership of Bitcoin Cash really failed here. Like, it's not just Amoris Sechet that came with this proposal. Actually, some miners came with this proposal. In the beginning, Wuhan Wu supported it. Roger Ver supported it, even though he says he didn't. He did. Like, these are the heroes of Bitcoin Cash, and many others too. Like Vin Armani, Hayden Otto, like people, like a lot of people that have a high standing in Bitcoin Cash supported this terrible idea, and still it totally failed. And why did it totally fail? Well, luckily, of course, Roger Ver changed his mind the quickest, the next day or 2 days later. And that was, of course, the biggest, the most important voice here. So thanks to him, of course, it also went very quickly down the drain because he changed his mind very quickly. But it failed also because of the community response also to Roger Ver. Like, the community was just shocked to see this. And I think that really also helped Roger Ver in changing his mind. But of course also because fundamentally it's a terrible idea. So they wanted to implement a tax in Bitcoin Cash. We call it a tax. It's not fair. You should call it basically a reward for developers. You can call it a developer reward, for example. A piece of the inflation goes to not only miners, but also to developers, like you have in Zcash and Dash. But the way it was done here was that it was really forced. They tried to force this in because most of the community really does not want this, does not believe in this business model, in this change of business model, believes it would centralize Bitcoin Cash development way too much. And it would really break the ideals of Bitcoin Cash that is really founded on sound money. And sound money does not work when you start paying all kinds of people from inflation. It will not be sound money. It will be a corrupt system very quickly. And so what I really loved seeing is that most of, by far, like 80% of the Bitcoin Cash investors and followers, the silent majority, really supports this idea. That has become very clear. And that's really what brings the value for a currency, because, and in most cryptocurrencies you don't have that. It's really the value comes from the leadership. Like in Ethereum, the value comes a lot from Vitalik Buterin and some other Vladimir. Like, of course, you have a wide community also, but the idealism is not so high, I think, for sound money, for example. And yeah, that's very important. Like, for example, in Ethereum, it's not defined how much the inflation will be in the future. So it is a variable that can change. With Bitcoin Cash, it's really very firm. And yeah, a lot of value comes from there in cryptocurrencies. Like in companies, it's a different story. It's like a company with Tesla, the value really comes a lot from Elon Musk, and we know that. And if he dies, it's a big problem for the currency, for Tesla. That would be a big problem, though it has a lot of momentum going. The leadership usually is very important, but what you see here in Bitcoin Cash is that the leadership, yes, it's important, but actually the value comes really from the community, and that makes me extremely bullish and makes me really believe in this project a lot more, and that's why I take it as my largest allocation again. My heart is into it much more than, for example, Ethereum, which I find a great project, but it's very intellectual, above my understanding often, many of the things going on in Ethereum. So, and I also don't use it. That's also very important. Invest in something you use or you think you will use in the future. I use Bitcoin Cash often, but not Ethereum. My darling has come home, and we are 1 hour and 15 minutes in. Hello, babe. How are you? Let me take a look at the questions more. Let me also show my darling. Huh? Yeah. Do we have more lights here? Huh? Mrs. Tabby coming home. And this is my sweet little girl, Joy, huh? Who has just been sleeping. So yeah, I'm gonna have to end the live show. It's also 1 hour in. I think I got the main message out. Let me try to get some more questions done, but that will likely not be possible with Joy here. Come, baby, come. Hey, who's gonna sit with me here? Of course, the Wuhan flu, like I do take it serious. Like I'm self-isolating. It's important to change your ways, to not catch it the first month, 2 months, because indeed local hospitals may be really overwhelmed, and you don't want to die there because you don't even get an aspirator or something if you are unlucky to be a bad case. So you do have to take it serious, but when it comes to investing, well, the markets took it serious already, huh? So that's the opportunity. Hey, Joey, it's true, eh? It's true, eh? Yeah, it's true, eh? Ah. Oh. Are you not worried getting margin called in Tesla? Well, I'm at $200. Yeah, she starts to scream because she wants the attention. So I'm gonna leave you guys. Thanks for joining, and have a great day. Bye. Maybe I will discuss all the other questions later. I will read them later, and maybe in the next show I'll go through them. Chok chok. Chok chok. Say bye. Dag. Dag. Say bye bye. Dag. 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 Bye bye. Huh? Bye bye.